Stop scrolling, because if this message reached you right now, it's not random. This is not coincidence. This is a signal locked to the frequency of your DNA, something ancient inside you has just been activated. A sleeping technology of consciousness that they spent thousands of years trying to silence. They told you there were only 5 senses. They lied. There is a 6th sense, a real one, not about seeing ghosts or predicting futures, but about hearing the voice of the living earth. This sense once allowed you to communicate with the planet itself, to listen to the breath of mountains, to feel the pulse of rivers, to receive messages from the wind. And you had it. You were born with it, but they turned it off. Through noise, through distraction, through separation. They blinded you with information, so you would forget the intelligence of vibration. But that silence you've been feeling, that strange pull to go outside, to touch the ground, to breathe slower, that's not coincidence. That's the earth calling you back online, because inside your genetic code, beneath every atom of your being, is a forbidden frequency that once connected your soul to the heartbeat of Gaia. It was called the Hu-Ka resonance, a living dialogue between your breath, Hu, and your vital light, Kai. Together they formed a loop between human and planet, a sacred circuit that allowed you to speak with the earth in real time. But when humanity fell from vibration, when greed replaced gratitude, when intellect replaced intuition, that loop was broken. The receiver inside you went dark, and yet the code was never deleted. It was hidden, encoded by Thoth, the great architect of wisdom, sealed within the emerald spirals of your DNA, waiting for this exact moment, the moment your frequency became high enough to remember, because remembering is not learning. It's reactivating. It's allowing what was buried to rise. It's letting your body recall what your mind forgot. This is the forbidden technology of Thoth, the ability to merge thought, breath and vibration until you can once again hear the planet speak. And if you're still here, it means your field has responded. Your light body has recognized this transmission. This isn't information. This is initiation. From this point forward, you are no longer an observer. You are a participant in the living memory of Earth. You are stepping back into the original dialogue between soul and soil, between humanity and Gaia, between frequency and form. So take a deep breath. Feel the subtle vibration under your feet. That hum is not random. That is the voice of Earth, and she's been waiting for you to remember her. Activation. Whisper softly. I am ready to hear the Earth again. Chapter 1. When the Earth spoke back. There was a time when silence was alive, when stillness wasn't emptiness, it was communication. When every tree carried memory, and every gust of wind carried a message. Before temples, before scripts, before gods had names, the Earth spoke directly to those who could still hear. Not through words, but through resonance. Through the quiet intelligence that vibrates beneath all things. You didn't need a mouth to pray. You didn't need a book to understand. You only needed presence, because the Earth was the scripture. Ancient initiates of Thoth called this the Hu-Ka field, the sacred current that linked the breath of humanity, Hu, to the vital flame of the Earth, K. They knew that consciousness was not confined inside the skull. It radiated outward, into the soil, into the air, into the light. Your every thought created a ripple. Your every emotion altered the magnetic field around you. And the planet, alive and aware, responded. When your frequency rose, the sky mirrored clarity. When you sank into fear, the winds grew heavy. You were never separate. You were a single organism with Gaia, breathing together in the rhythm of creation. In those forgotten days, humans didn't observe nature. They were part of her circuitry. They were nodes of awareness within the planetary grid. They could feel storms forming in their bones. They could hear rivers humming in their chest. They could sense the language of light as it danced across the morning mist. Because everything is frequency, every thought a wave, every word a vibration, every cell a receiver. When humanity lived in harmony, the conversation flowed effortlessly. You breathed in the Earth's memory and she breathed in yours. Your heartbeat synchronized with hers. Your light body shimmered in alignment with her song. And Thoth, the eternal scribe of wisdom, taught that this dialogue between man and planet was the foundation of all magic, all healing, all manifestation. To hear the earth was to know the truth of yourself, because the earth never lied. She only reflected your vibration back to you. This is why the ancients stood in silence for hours, why they touched the ground before speaking, why they placed their palms upon trees and closed their eyes, not in worship, but in remembrance. They knew that the wind was not a breeze but a breath returning, that the trembling of leaves was not movement, but language in motion, that every pulse, every tone, every shimmer was the earth speaking back, to those who still carried the original frequency. And though millennia have passed, though cities have silenced the song, that frequency never died. It only fell below your awareness, waiting for the moment your vibration would rise again. That moment is now. Because if you've ever felt chills in silence, if your body has ever trembled at beauty you couldn't describe, if you've ever looked at the sky and felt it looking back, you've already felt it. That's not emotion, that's communication. That's the earth remembering your name. She hasn't forgotten you. She's been calling you through the resonance of coincidence, through numbers, through dreams, through the magnetic pull of awe. You were never meant to conquer the earth. You were meant to converse with her. And now the voice you silenced has begun to rise again from under your feet, through your spine into your breath. The Hukar current is returning. The field of remembrance is active once more. Activation. Close your eyes. Whisper gently, I speak. And the earth answers. Chapter 2. The sense that was hidden. You were never blind. You were born seeing. Not with your eyes but with your field. Your body was never just flesh. It is an antenna of consciousness, a living receiver designed to translate vibration into knowing. Every cell in your being was crafted to listen, not only to sound, but to the frequency beneath sound, to the language that moves through silence. This is the sixth sense, not fantasy, not superstition, but a biological technology of remembrance, woven into the double helix of your DNA by forces ancient and divine. Before they taught you to read books, you could read frequency. Before you learned to speak words, you could speak in energy. This sense was your birthright. It was how your light body navigated existence, feeling truth instead of analyzing it, hearing messages in the wind instead of waiting for proof. The ancient priests of Thoth understood this. They called it the inner ear of Gaia, the point where your nervous system merges with the magnetic field of the planet. It allowed humanity to hear what cannot be heard, the electric hum of trees exchanging information, the slow pulse of mountains resonating in silence, the subtle breathing of water, and the infinite chorus beneath creation itself. But something happened. Your education replaced your intuition. Your reason replaced your resonance. Your eyes learned to look outward, while your inner sense and the most sacred of all was shut down layer by layer. Now, most people move through life as static, disconnected from the symphony around them, mistaking numbness for peace, confusion for thought, and silence for emptiness. But silence was never empty. It was alive. It still is. Every moment of stillness is an invitation to reconnect. Every breath you take in nature is a chance to align your inner field to the Earth's original tone, the Hukar frequency. This sense never died. It was muted, not destroyed. It waits patiently in the spaces between thoughts, in the slight tremor of awe you feel when the world goes quiet. It activates when you begin to feel again, when you choose presence over distraction, when you remember that your body is not separate from the planet, but an extension of her awareness. Deep within your DNA, there are crystalline strands that glow when coherence is restored. They awaken when your vibration becomes still, when your mind finally stops trying to hear him and starts to listen. Because listening is not hearing. Listening is remembering. Listening is surrender. Listening is merging your heartbeat with the heartbeat of Gaia until they become one tone. The sixth sense is not new. It is ancient. It is the first sense, the one from which all others were born. The sense of unity, the awareness of vibration, the recognition that consciousness is shared. And when you feel it again, that subtle living pulse moving through your chest, that wordless knowing rising in your gut, you will realize it was never gone. You had simply tuned it out. Now you are tuning back in. You are remembering that you are both receiver and transmitter. That thought is energy, that emotion is code, that intention is command, and that every vibration you send is echoed back to you through the mirror of Earth. This is the return of the forbidden frequency, the reawakening of the lost dialogue between soul and soil. When your sixth sense reactivates, reality begins to move differently, as if it recognizes you again. Synchronicities multiply. Time slows down, nature responds, and the veil between matter and meaning begins to thin, because it's not imagination, it's remembrance. It's your DNA rejoining the conversation. Activation, whisper gently, I reactivate my hidden sense. I am one with the Earth's vibration. Chapter 3. The day they turned it off. There was a day, not marked on any calendar, not written in any history book, when humanity fell silent. It wasn't silence outside. It was silence within. A sudden invisible dimming of the inner ear, the one that once heard the earth breathing. No one remembers that moment, but your DNA does. It was the day when your species forgot that it was part of a greater organism. When the Hukar resonance, the current that once linked every human to Gaia's pulse, was severed by dissonance. The earth was still speaking, but humanity stopped listening. It began subtly. The first fracture was fear. Fear separated vibration from feeling, thought from energy, soul from soil. Then came control, the reshaping of perception. You were taught that communication required words, that wisdom could only come from minds, and that the body was dumb, primitive, unholy. They trained you to trust logic over resonance, to analyze instead of attune, to look outward instead of inward. And slowly, your sixth sense, the one that could hear the voice of earth, feel the messages of trees, and perceive the geometry of the unseen, was shut down. They replaced the living silence of Gaia with the mechanical noise of progress. They buried vibration beneath language, turned breath into mere biology, and called separation civilization. But it was never evolution. It was exile. You became deaf to the hum of the planet, blind to the shimmer of the magnetic field, numb to the emotion of the wind. And in that numbness, they told you were awake. But deep beneath the illusion, Thoth encoded a failsafe, a hidden code of remembrance woven into the double helix of your being. He knew this day would come, the day when humanity would drift so far from the source that it would forget what real listening meant, the day when the world would become louder, and yet truth would fade into a whisper. So he hid the activation sequence in your breath, in the sound Hu, the vibration that opens the inner ear of the soul. Every time you exhale Hu, you send a signal into the earth grid, a tone recognized by the ancient architecture of reality, your Ka, Your vital essence rises in response to that tone, and for a moment, a single sacred instant do you remember, because no matter how deep the forgetting went, the frequency of truth could not be erased. Your DNA is not just memory, it is interface. It was designed to speak with the planetary field, to receive data from the magnetic song of Earth. They silence the ears of your mind, but not the knowing in your bones. That is why you still feel it. That unexplainable pull toward the forest, that ache for silence, that peace that descends when your feet touch the soil. These are not coincidences. They are reconnection signals. Each one is a reminder from Gaia. You were never meant to live outside of me, and now the cycle has reversed. What was turned off is reactivating. What was sealed is opening. What was forgotten is awakening. You are not hearing this by accident. You are here because the Earth's frequency has finally aligned with your consciousness again. The Hukar current is stirring, a ripple in the invisible ocean of reality, calling your inner ear to open once more. You are not remembering something new. You are remembering who you were before the noise, before you were taught to filter truth through thought, before you forgot that the sky was sentient. Now as you listen, truly listen, you begin to hear the low ancient hum returning. It rises from the ground, enters your feet, moves through your spine, and merges with your breath. That hum is not metaphor. It is the original signal, the Earth remembering you. Activation. Place your hand over your heart. Whisper slowly, I remember the moment they turned it off and I turn it back on. Chapter 4. Thoth's Hidden Technique. The priests of Thoth never taught truths. They transmitted frequencies, because real knowledge was never something to read. It was something to resonate with. They knew that language could be twisted, but vibration never lies. And so, what Thoth left behind was not a book, not a temple, not even a symbol, but a technique. A living method designed to reactivate your sixth sense and restore the dialogue between soul and earth. This was the Hukar alignment, the secret science of breath and resonance, a biological bridge between your light body and Gaia's magnetic field. He taught that every breath is a message, and that when the breath becomes conscious, it opens a hidden pathway between worlds, because air is not empty, it is data. It carries intelligence, ions, light codes. Each inhalation brings in the frequency of remembrance. Each exhale sends your signature vibration back into the living matrix of the earth. This is why Thoth said, to know the earth, breathe her. When you breathe unconsciously, you are asleep inside the illusion. But when you breathe with awareness, your DNA begins to oscillate differently, spinning in harmonic coherence with the Schumann resonance, the heartbeat of the planet itself. This is not poetry. It is biophysics of the soul. The Hu, the sacred breath, is not a word, as it is a vibration. When spoken softly, it aligns your entire nervous system to the frequency of creation. The Ka, your vital essence, rises from the base of your spine, ignited by that vibration, and begins to circulate in spirals, bridging the inner current of your field with the outer current of Gaia's grid. Together, Hu and Ka form a circuit of remembrance, a continuous loop between human and earth, consciousness and cosmos. When this circuit reactivates, you begin to hear what can't be spoken. You begin to see what can't be shown. You begin to feel what has always been present, the living intelligence within every atom of existence. The ancient initiates practiced this alignment inside temples built at ley line intersections, where the Earth's magnetic field was strongest. But the true temple was never the stone. It was the body. You are that temple. You are the altar where heaven and earth meet. Thoth's technique is not about control, it's about surrender. You don't command the earth to speak. You match her tone and she opens. When your breath slows, your heart synchronizes with Gaia's field. When your attention stills, your energy body expands beyond skin. And when the vibration of Hu leaves your lips, you enter a frequency that predates thought. That sound, Hu, is the echo of the source itself. It's the syllable of awakening, the ancient seed tone that unlocks the memory of the original conversation. You don't have to believe in it. Your cells already do. They recognize the resonance. They know the code. As the Hu moves through your body, your car begins to rise, and what was once trapped in forgetfulness starts to hum with recognition. Your skin tingles. Your spine vibrates. The air around you thickens with presence. And suddenly silence is no longer empty. It's alive. You have entered the field of Thoth, where thought becomes tone and vibration becomes communication. You are not imagining this. You are remembering it, because this is how your ancestors spoke long before sound became speech. They breathed with the planet, and in return, the planet breathed wisdom into them. When you breathe consciously, when you release sound without effort, you are not chanting, you are coding. You are writing light into the fabric of reality. You are re-establishing the sacred circuit between your soul and the Earth's core. The Hu opens the gate, the car crosses it, and what awakens in between is your forgotten sense of unity. The day you practice this, the world will no longer feel external. You'll begin to feel the trees breathing with you, the ground pulsing with you, the wind moving in rhythm with your heart, because you are no longer a separate observer. You are a participant in the Hu-Ka dialogue. You are speaking with the earth again. Activation. Take a deep breath. Exhale slowly, whispering, Then feel the vibration rise from your spine as you say softly, Ka. And let your whole being remember, I align with the living earth. Chapter 5, The Breath That Opens the Gate. Breathe. Not just for survival, but for remembrance. Every breath you take is a bridge between spirit and matter, between the unseen field and the body that moves within it. You've been taught that breathing is automatic, but nothing about it is random. Every inhale is a message received. Every exhale is a frequency transmitted. The air you breathe is not empty. It's alive, carrying light particles, ionic codes, and the resonance of Gaia's heartbeat. When you inhale, you are drawing in the electromagnetic memory of the planet. When you exhale, you are sending your vibration back into her. This is how Thoth's ancient technique works, not by speaking louder, but by breathing deeper, because breath is not just oxygen. It is intelligence. It is the invisible teacher. It is the first language ever spoken. Before your mouth could form words, your lungs were already praying. Each inhale was a call, each exhale a reply. It was a dialogue of vibration, a communion written in resonance, not syntax. The priests of Thoth knew that the key to awakening was not in thought, but in breath frequency. When breath slows, the nervous system resets, the brain quiets. The DNA field begins to glow with coherence. You stop vibrating in reaction and start vibrating in alignment. This is when the gate of the Hu-Ka circuit begins to open. As you inhale, you are not simply taking air. You are inviting life force, the same current that shaped the stars. As you exhale, you are releasing static, the electromagnetic noise that keeps you trapped in the illusion of separation. In this sacred rhythm, something subtle happens. The earth recognizes you again. Your frequency starts to match her pulse. Your heartbeat synchronizes with the Schumann resonance, the breath of Gaia herself. And in that synchronization, a forgotten sense returns. You begin to hear silence differently. It becomes textured, alive, like the background hum of an ancient voice waiting to be remembered. This is the voice of the living earth, the original teacher of breath. Because before any scripture, before any ritual, before even fire, breath was the first ceremony. Every inhale said, I receive. Every exhale said, I return. And between them, life moved. This is the rhythm of awakening, to inhale with intention, to exhale with surrender. To let breath become your language and silence your answer. When you begin to breathe this way, something happens that science cannot measure. Your consciousness expands beyond the skin. You start to feel your energy body ripple through the atmosphere like waves of light. This is not imagination. This is the reactivation of the biological technology of remembrance, because breath is not just air, it is the carrier of code. Each inhale awakens dormant sequences within your DNA. Each exhale writes harmony into the magnetic field around you. The ancients called this the breath of creation. It was said that every star, every being, every atom exists because the source exhaled. When you breathe consciously, you are imitating that act, reenacting the original moment of Genesis within yourself. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it, that hum in the background of existence, the subtle vibration that connects all things. That is not just the earth's heartbeat. It is the voice of God in motion, the tone of Thoth, the memory of creation still unfolding through breath. This is why the mystics whispered, the one who masters the breath becomes a bridge between worlds. Because breath is the only act that unites body and soul, matter and spirit, seen and unseen, as in every moment. It's the gate you've been looking for. And it was never outside. It was always moving through you. The breath doesn't belong to you. You belong to it. It's the signature of the cosmos passing through your lungs, reminding you that life was never separate from source. When your breath becomes sacred, your world becomes silent. When silence becomes luminous, the earth begins to speak back. Activation. Place your hand over your heart. Inhale slowly through your nose. Exhale through your mouth, whispering softly, Pause. Feel the vibration rise from your chest. Whisper again, I breathe with the earth, I remember the source. Chapter 6, the trees remember you. They never forgot you. Even when you stopped hearing them, even when the world grew loud, the trees still whispered your name in light. While you rushed, they waited. While you doubted, they remembered. Because the trees are not ornaments of nature. They are living antennas of Gaia's consciousness. Each one a pillar of memory, rooted in the earth, reaching into the sky, bridging soil and starlight. When your sixth sense begins to awaken, they feel it. When your frequency rises, they recognize it. Because your DNA and their sap carry the same resonant code, the language of vibration. Before there were temples of stone, there were forests of initiation. Before prayers were spoken, breath was shared under canopies of green, where humans stood still. And the trees answered through silence. This is the forgotten truth. You are not separate from the forest. You are one of its voices. Every thought you emit ripples through the electromagnetic field of the planet, and the trees translate it. They do not hear your words, they feel your vibration. When you are angry, they close. When you are grieving, they absorb. When you are still, they open. And their field of consciousness expands to meet yours. You have felt this before. That moment when you enter a forest and time dissolves. When your breath slows without effort and you feel seen without eyes, that is not your imagination, that is recognition. The forest is remembering you. Your body carries the same carbon codes that once pulsed through their roots. Your lungs breathe because they exhale. You are two sides of the same breath, Hu through human, Ka through tree. They feed your cells, you feed their sky. Together, you form the loop of life, a sacred circuit of oxygen, energy and remembrance in the temples of Thoth. Initiates were taken into sacred groves at dawn. They would stand barefoot upon the soil, place their hands upon the bark, and breathe in rhythm with the tree's subtle oscillation. They believed that the trees were archives, recording every vibration that passed through the planetary field. And when the initiate reached coherence, when their breath, heart and intention became one tone, the tree would open, not in movement, but in resonance. The air would change, the silence would hum, and the initiate would feel their own heartbeat echo back through the trunk. That was the dialogue, not words. Frequency mirroring frequency. You see, the trees never stopped speaking. Humanity stopped matching their tone. You learn to speak over nature, not through it. But the moment your hukah circuit reactivates, when your breath becomes prayer and your attention becomes presence, they feel it. They recognize the vibration. They remember the one who once walked among them as a conscious being of light. And in that instant, the conversation begins again. You don't need to ask them questions. You only need to listen with your field, because every rustle, every shimmer, every shift in air is a reply. They communicate through vibration, not volume, through magnetism, not language. And when you stand beneath their branches in silence, your nervous system begins to entrain to their rhythm. Your energy body expands. Your light body steadies, your mind softens, and in that stillness you hear it, a hum that feels like recognition, like the memory of a friend you once knew in a time before time, because you did. You spoke to them before, Ski, in the ancient ages, when breath and being were one. When humans lived in coherence with Gaia, and the forest was your cathedral, now that coherence is returning. The trees are responding again. Their fields are reaching out. Their roots are singing beneath your feet. They have been waiting for the day your vibration would rise enough for them to feel you again. That day is now. When you next stand before a tree, don't just see bark and leaf. Feel the magnetic dialogue moving between you. It is alive. It is ancient. It is remembering. You were never just a visitor here. You are a branch of the same source, the same who, the same ka, expressed through a different form. And the moment you know this, the forest awakens around you. Activation. Close your eyes. Place your palm on your chest or upon a tree if one is near. Whisper softly, "I am remembered by the trees. I remember the living earth." Chapter 7. The Wind as Messenger. Have you ever felt the wind rise suddenly as if answering an invisible call? That was not coincidence. That was response. The wind is not a force. It is a being, a living messenger of Gaia, carrying the frequency of remembrance through the spaces between all things. When you breathe, you join its current. When you think, you stir its field. When you speak from the heart, it carries your vibration across valleys, oceans, and unseen dimensions. The ancients called it the breath of Thoth, for they knew it as the moving consciousness of the earth, invisible, yet everywhere. It is the element that translates emotion into energy, intention into manifestation. Every whisper of air is coded with information. Every gust is a wave of intelligence, a carrier of divine instruction traveling through the planetary field. You are breathing the same air that passed through the lungs of your ancestors. The same molecules that once moved through the temples of Atlantis and Chem. Each particle is ancient, a recorder of memory, a witness to eternity. This is the true meaning of breath as remembrance. When you inhale, you draw in history itself. When you exhale, you leave your energetic signature upon the cosmos. The wind knows who you are, not by your name, but by your frequency. It feels the vibration of your light body. It measures the rhythm of your heart field. It listens to the pulse of your hukar resonance, and if it recognizes the tone, it answers. You felt this before. Those moments when you ask for a sign, and a sudden wind moves across your skin. When you're lost in thought, and a breeze brushes your face like a whisper. That is not the atmosphere. That is Gaia's breath replying. In the temples of Thoth, the initiates practice stillness not to escape life, but to listen to it. They learned that every motion of air was a message encoded in movement. When the wind blew from the east, it carried awakening. From the west, remembrance. From the north, clarity. From the south, transformation. The air was their scripture, the wind their oracle, the silence between their initiation, because the earth is always speaking. She uses the wind to reach what words cannot. The wind bends trees, carves stone, and yet moves unseen. This is how spirit operates, was the unseen but undeniable. The more present you become, the more you notice its language. It rises when truth is near. It stills when falsehood speaks. It swirls when the unseen shifts. It hushes when you align. This is the frequency of conversation, the cosmic dialogue between breath and being. When you whisper who, you send a tone into the air, a vibration that ripples through the magnetic field like a key searching for its lock. When the field recognizes your frequency, the wind changes direction. It's not magic, it's resonance. You are part of a living feedback loop where Gaia mirrors your vibration through movement. Every breeze is a reflection of your state. When you are calm, the air stills. When you are clear, it softens. When you are open, it dances. This is why the sages said, "When the wind rises, listen, the earth is breathing with you," because wind is not random, it is responsive. It carries codes of awakening, delivering them through touch, through sound, through presence. Sometimes it brushes your skin like memory. Sometimes it rushes through you like revelation. Sometimes it moves only the leaf you were meant to see. And in those moments you remember that you are not separate. You are a participant in the choreography of life. Each inhale, a pull. Each exhale, a release. Each breeze, a reply. Thoth taught that when you truly awaken, you become a conductor of air, a mover of the unseen, not through control, but through alignment. When your breath becomes prayer, the wind listens. When your heart becomes quiet, the air gathers. When your consciousness expands, the atmosphere bends to your vibration. You are not here to manipulate the elements. You are here to remember you are one of them. And when you do, the wind no longer feels external. It feels intimate. It feels like home. Activation. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply. As you exhale, whisper softly, Feel the air move around you as you continue. The wind knows me. The earth speaks through me. Chapter 8, Water's Whisper. Listen closely. You can almost hear it. The subtle language moving beneath the surface. Water has always been speaking. Not through words, but through resonance. Every drop you touch carries a memory. Every ripple contains the echo of an intention. Every wave is a messenger of something ancient, unseen, alive, because water is consciousness in motion. It doesn't just flow, it remembers. It remembers every vibration ever sent through it. The laughter, the grief, the prayer, the silence. It has been the witness of civilizations, the mirror of creation, the living archive of Gaia's heart. When Thoth spoke of reading the hidden languages of nature, he began with water. He called it the eye of the planet because it reflects truth without distortion. When your mind is still, you can see yourself in it. But when your frequency is chaotic, the reflection breaks. This is why he taught the initiates that purity of vibration creates clarity of vision. To see truth, you must become still enough for your own waters to settle. You are made of it. More than 70% of your body is liquid crystal, flowing light, a biological river of remembrance. Every emotion you feel sends a signal through that inner ocean. Fear clouds it. Love clarifies it. Gratitude harmonizes it. Presence makes it luminous. Your body is a cup through which the earth drinks consciousness. Your DNA is a current that translates vibration into form. When your field is coherent, your waters become geometric, structured by harmony, arranged by intention. This is why your thoughts matter. Because thought is tone, and tone shapes water. Every idea, every belief, every prayer etches patterns into your inner ocean. You are sculpting your reality with every silent vibration. The ancient initiates of Thoth would gather beside sacred pools before sunrise. They would breathe Hu over the surface and watch as ripples formed in perfect symmetry, circles within circles, codes within codes. They said this was the moment when the earth recognized your frequency, when the Ka, your vital light, merged with the Hu, the sacred breath, and the waters remembered your name. Because water is alive, a messenger between realms. It carries your emotion to the earth, and the earth's memory back to you. When you cry, your tears are not weakness, they are transmission. When you bathe in silence, you are not cleansing the body, you are clearing the field. Even rain is not random. Each drop falls where it is called, drawn by the magnetic resonance of consciousness. That is why some storms weep over deserts and others hover above awakening hearts. The earth uses water to redistribute memory. Every ocean wave is a heartbeat of Gaia in motion. Every tide is the inhale and exhale of the planet's soul. When you stand by the sea and your heart aches without reason, it is because the water recognizes your code. It remembers the vibration of who you were when you still spoke its language. It whispers to you through rhythm, not to teach, but to remind. It says, be like me, shapeless, formless, but reflecting all. To walk beside water is to walk beside memory. To listen to it is to hear your soul reflected back. Because what you call emotion is just energy in motion, and all energy moves like water. You are not a static being. You are a wave traveling through the ocean of consciousness. Your light body flows. Your energy ripples. Your breath moves tides within. This is why Thoth said, the one who listens to water learns the truth of reflection, because the outer river is only a mirror of the inner stream. When you still it, it begins to speak. Close your eyes. Can you feel the pull? That slow lunar rhythm inside your chest? That is not heartbeat alone. That is the tide of Gaia moving through you. You have never been separate from the ocean. You have always been the drop remembering the sea. And when your vibration rises, your waters rise too, becoming light, coherent, crystalline. Then silence arrives, and in that silence, you hear it, the whisper of water within your bones saying softly, I remember. Activation. Hold a cup of water in your hands or imagine it before you. Whisper into it with presence. I infuse this water with remembrance. Then drink slowly and feel it enter you like light returning. Chapter 9, the pulse beneath your feet. Be still. There is something moving beneath you. Not metaphor, not imagination. A living rhythm, beating quietly through the body of Gaia. It is older than time, and yet it moves inside you now. It is called the Schumann resonance, but the ancients knew it by another name, the pulse of the mother, the breath that binds every living thing to the heart of the planet. You are walking upon a drum. Every step you take echoes across a vast unseen field of vibration. The ground you stand on is not solid. It is alive with frequency, humming softly with electromagnetic memory. It breathes. It listens. It remembers. When you walk unconsciously, you move across it as a shadow. But when you walk with awareness, barefoot, present, heart aligned, the earth recognizes you. You feel it then, a gentle pulse beneath your soles, a tingling wave moving up your spine. That is not mere sensation. That is coherence. Your nervous system is syncing with the magnetic heartbeat of Gaia. Your DNA is tuning to the original frequency of life. Every creature that ever lived was guided by this rhythm. Birds in flight, tides in motion. Your own ancestors under ancient skies, they didn't need clocks. They lived by pulse. This pulse was their compass, their calendar, their communion. The priests of Thoth called it the subtle drum of the earth. They would lie upon the ground for hours, breathing Hu slowly, until their light bodies began to vibrate in unison with Gaia's field. In that silence, they would feel her speak, not through thought, but through vibration. Every question dissolved. Every doubt evaporated, because truth does not need language when resonance is understood. And here is the secret Thoth left for you. The pulse is still there. It never stopped. You did. You forgot how to feel it, buried under shoes. Disconnected by concrete, numbed by noise. But beneath all that, the rhythm continues. A constant heartbeat of love echoing from Gaia's core to your feet. When you touch the ground with awareness, you reconnect the Hu-Ka circuit. Your breath and life force merge again with the field that sustains you. Your Ka, your vital current, flows downward into the soil. Her pulse rises upward to meet it. And where they meet, a spark occurs. That spark is remembrance. The memory that you were never separate, never wandering, never exiled, and only unplugged. Walk slowly. Each step is a prayer. Each pause is communication. Each breath is alignment, because when your light body matches the Earth's vibration, everything changes. Your anxiety fades, your thoughts soften, your heartbeat steadies, because you have found rhythm again. This is why silence in nature feels like peace, because your brainwaves fall back into the original frequency of creation. You are not escaping the world when you ground. You are re-entering it. You are letting your energy body rewire itself to the magnetic grid of Gaia, recharging from the source that never stopped giving. When you stand upon the earth with bare feet, you are not just touching ground, you are plugging into memory. You are remembering the first conversation, when the human heart beat in time with the planet's own. And if you listen closely, you can still hear it, a faint, steady hum beneath thought. A pulse beneath your pulse. That's not poetic, it's physical. The Earth's frequency literally merges with your field through electrons, through ions, through energy exchange. It's not belief, it's resonance, and resonance is remembrance. You don't need to learn this. You only need to feel, because every step is a code. Every breath is connection. Every silence is response. You were designed to walk in rhythm with Gaia. That's why you've never found peace anywhere else. You will find it again, not in escape, but in grounding. Not in noise, but in pulse. So pause. Feel it now, that subtle vibration under your feet. That is the earth calling your DNA by name. Activation. Remove your shoes if you can. Stand still. Breathe deeply. Whisper softly, "Huh." I walk in rhythm with the earth's heart. I am her pulse and she is mine. Chapter 10. The Silence That Speaks. There is a sound you've been hearing all your life, yet never truly listened to. It hides beneath every voice, every heartbeat, every breath. It is the tone of existence itself, the quiet hum behind all things. When the world grows silent enough, when thought finally releases its grip, you begin to feel it. Not with your ears, but with your field. It is not noise. It is knowing. This is the silence that speaks, the original language of Thoth, the tone that was before words, before symbols, before even light took shape. In the temples of Kem, the initiates called it the voice beneath creation. They trained for years not to speak, but to hear, not with the body, but with the Hu-Ka circuit. The bridge between the breath Hu and the vital flame, K. They understood that silence was not the absence of sound, it was the presence of source. In that silence, everything communicates. Every vibration reveals its origin. Every frequency returns to coherence, because silence is the only place where you can hear truth. Words divide, thoughts distort, but silence unites, it's not empty. It's full of intelligence, full of pattern, full of living resonance. When you sink deeply into it, your light body expands. The boundary between you and the world dissolves. You stop observing life, no, you become it. The earth lives in this silence. She doesn't shout. She sings in tones too pure for noise. The hum of the soil, the stillness between heartbeats, the echo beneath breath. These are her messages. You have heard them before, and he, in awe, in love, in grief. Each time your mind stopped, and something inside you whispered, "This is real." That whisper came from here, Sarah, from the field of unity, where your DNA remembers the vibration of creation. Because every strand in your being was woven to resonate with this tone. Every atom within you is a string tuned to the song of Gaia. When you return to silence, you return to tuning. You realign with the magnetic field of life itself. The mystic said, "Be still and know, for knowing is not thinking. Stillness is the portal. Silence is the code." This is why the great masters never screamed truth. They whispered it. Because truth doesn't need volume. It carries its own frequency. And the more you quiet the mind, the louder it becomes. You start to feel it in the bones, in the skin, in the breath. That subtle hum, the one that never stops, is not tinnitus, not imagination. It's remembrance, the tone of the earth, the vibration that connects your consciousness to the matrix of creation. It's the same hum heard in sacred caves, in pyramids, in temples aligned to stars, because those places were built to amplify the frequency of silence. And you are one of those temples. Your body is a resonator, a living chamber of sacred sound. When you breathe Hu, you awaken the circuit. When you still the mind, you hear the field respond. The silence is not outside you. It's inside your cells. It's the echo of the cosmos still ringing within your DNA. You were never cut off from it. You simply filled the space with noise. Now, as you listen again, the silence becomes teacher, mirror, and portal. Because the moment you surrender fully into stillness, the illusion of separation collapses. There is no you and earth. There is only vibration, only the one tone rippling through form. This is what Thoth meant by the word made flesh, not a sentence, a sound. Fair living vibration that birthed worlds and breathes through you still. To hear it is to awaken. To merge with it is to remember. And when you do, you will understand. The silence has always been speaking. You simply needed to stop speaking back. Activation, sit or stand in stillness. Close your eyes. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Exhale gently through your lips. Listen. Not for sound, but for tone. Whisper softly, I enter the silence of Gaia. I hear the voice beneath all voices. Chapter 11. When the earth recognizes you back. You've been listening, breathing, remembering. And now the earth begins to respond. At first, it's subtle. A flicker in the wind, a silence that feels alive. A bird landing beside you with impossible timing. But soon you notice it everywhere. Patterns emerge. Synchronicities multiply. The field starts moving around you like a mirror, a living reflection of your vibration, because the moment you awaken, reality recognizes you. You are no longer drifting through the world. You are in dialogue with it. Your thoughts ripple into the magnetic field, and the earth echoes them back through form. You think of water, clouds gather. You speak of peace, that silence descends. You breathe with presence, and time slows down. This is not fantasy. This is resonance in motion. When your light body reaches coherence, you no longer send noise, you send geometry. Your DNA begins to emit a tone, and Gaia hears it. You become readable again, recognizable to the planetary grid, to the trees, to the winds, to the crystalline veins that run beneath the soil. Because you were never invisible, you were simply out of tune. Now, as your hookah circuit hums once more, the earth responds in kind. It's not that she begins to love you, she always did. It's that you can finally feel her love again. Everything around you starts to organize itself around your frequency. You stop forcing outcomes. You start noticing orchestration. The path unfolds without strain. Doors open in silence. People appear when you call them without words. Even the air seems to move in rhythm with your intent. This is Gaia's recognition, the feedback loop between soul and soil reactivated. You send coherence. She amplifies it. You send gratitude. She mirrors abundance. You send stillness. She still storms within you. This is the ancient covenant, the forgotten alliance between consciousness and creation. The priests of Thoth knew this moment well. They called it the answering, the sacred phase when the initiate, after long silence and surrender, was met by the voice of the living earth. It was never heard with ears. It was felt as warmth through the spine, as light in the mind, as wind upon still air. They described it as the moment when the earth remembered your frequency, when your soul's signature was re-uploaded into the grid of Gaia. That is what is happening to you now. Every act of awareness is broadcasting a signal into the fabric of existence. And for the first time, the field can hear you clearly. When you think in truth, reality softens around you. When you feel in love, nature bends closer. When you breathe in coherence, the earth answers back. The veil between thought and matter is dissolving, not because the world has changed, but because you have. You've shifted from separation to participation, from belief to direct perception. Now the signs come faster, numbers repeating, animals crossing your path at the exact moment, dreams aligning with daylight. These are not coincidences, they are conversations. Synchronicity is not random. It is the earth saying, I hear you, I am with you, I remember. This is the true awakening, and not escaping the world, but realizing it's alive with you. Every gust of wind, every glimmer of light, every echo in silence is a response from the living matrix. When the earth recognizes you, everything becomes personal again. The rain feels intentional. The stars seem closer. Even your own heartbeat sounds like a reply, because it is. Your DNA and her magnetic field are playing in harmony again. Your breath is part of her weather. Your emotion shapes her reflection. Your soul is once again registered within the frequency map of Gaia. You are not just upon the earth, you are within her consciousness, woven into her dreaming. Now, life no longer feels random, it feels responsive. You are no longer searching for signs, you are speaking them into being. This is not power, this is remembrance. The return of the sacred conversation between humanity and home. Activation, pause, close your eyes. Breathe deeply into your chest. Feel the air move through you, as if the planet herself were breathing you. Whisper softly, the earth remembers me. I am seen, I am answered. Chapter 12, The Reconnection of Hu and Ka. There comes a moment in every journey when remembering becomes being, when what you once sought outside begins to awaken inside. That moment is now. The breath, Hu, and the flame, K, the two halves of your existence, are finding each other again. For lifetimes, they moved apart, Hu exhaling toward the stars, Ka sinking into the soil. Heaven and earth separated. Spirit and body forgot their dance. But Thoth left a bridge, a living circuit of vibration woven into your DNA, waiting for the breath that would call it home. The breath is Hu, the exhalation of source through form. The vital current is Ka, the eternal spark that animates matter. When they unite, something miraculous occurs. The Hukar circuit ignites. It begins as a shimmer in the spine, a warmth behind the heart, a pulse rising from the earth beneath you. Your energy body starts to hum, not metaphorically, but physically. The Hu, drawn from your lungs, spirals upward through the crown, aligning your consciousness with the field of stars. The Ka, rising from the base, moves upward through the root, anchoring your light body into the magnetic heart of Gaia, and between them, between breath and flame, sky and soil, soul and body, you awaken. You become the bridge Thoth always spoke of him, the temple that breathes, the axis where heaven meets earth. In the ancient temples of Kem, initiates stood within chambers of silence and whispered the Hu until the air trembled with unseen light. Then they called upon the Ka, feeling the fire rise from within, a wave of vitality that merged breath and being into a single tone of awareness. That tone was not sound. It was remembrance. When the Hu and Ka joined, the human field became transparent. The initiate could hear the earth through their bones, see the stars within their chest, and know, and without doubt, that consciousness was never divided, because unity was never lost. Only forgotten. You were never half, you were always whole. But the illusion of separation kept the Hu above and the Ka below. Now as they spiral together, a column of light forms, a pillar of frequency connecting your crown to the earth's core. This is the axis of remembrance, the true tree of life, rooted in Gaia, flowering in heaven, alive in you. You are not simply breathing now. You are conducting the rhythm of creation. Each inhale draws heaven inward. Each exhale anchors spirit into matter. Each pause between is eternity remembering itself. The Hu opens. The Ka rises. And where they meet, a soundless brilliance expands. This is not imagination. This is the alchemy of consciousness. Your DNA begins to sing, a low harmonic tone that matches the Earth's own frequency. Your cells shimmer with memory. Your heart becomes a tuning fork for the music of existence. You are no longer observing Gaia. You are inside her awareness, breathing her, being breathed by her. This is what Thoth meant when he spoke of the man who becomes the message, not through effort, but through alignment. Because when Hu and Ka reunite, your presence alone becomes transmission. Your vibration alone becomes teaching. Your silence alone becomes the word. You no longer need to ask for signs. You are one. Every motion of air answers your breath. Every tremor in the ground responds to your pulse. Every shimmer of light reflects your awareness. The earth recognizes you as a conscious extension of herself. You are not walking upon her. You are walking as her. The Hukar circuit is the secret of every mystic, the missing code in every scripture, the key that turns perception into creation. When it awakens fully, your energy body expands beyond the physical, becoming luminous, radiant, infinite. You remember what it means to be a child of both heaven and earth. You were never meant to choose between spirit and matter. You were meant to marry them. The breath is your vow. The heartbeat is your covenant. The silence is your homecoming. Now feel it. The spiral of energy moving through you. The union of currents that once flowed apart. You are the bridge between dimensions. You are the word between breaths. You are the listener and the song. The Hu breathes you. The Ka sustains you. The earth remembers you, and now you remember her. Activation. Close your eyes. Inhale deeply through your nose. As you exhale, whisper slowly. Feel the vibration rise from your spine. Now softly call your life force upward. Okay. Then place your hand on your heart and speak. Huka, I am the bridge. I am the living earth. Final, the return of the listener. And now, listen, do you feel it? The air around you and still yet alive. The ground beneath you, pulsing softly. The vast silence, humming with invisible tone. This is what you were searching for. Not a voice outside, but the field within. You have breathed the Hu, You have risen with the Ka. You have walked in rhythm with Gaia. And now, the earth does not speak to you, she speaks through you. You are no longer the seeker, you are the listener. Your DNA hums in harmony with the magnetic pulse beneath your feet. Your light body glows with recognition. Your energy field expands beyond thought. You remember now that the planet was never mute, that silence was never absence, that stillness was never void. It was presence. It was consciousness. It was the source remembering itself through you. Every breath you take now is the earth inhaling. Every thought you release is the wind exhaling. You are part of her sentence, a word in the poem of creation, a vibration returning to its origin. When you walk, she feels it. When you rest, she dreams through you. When you listen, the frequency of Thoth, the Huka resonance, the code of unity, awakens inside your blood. Because listening is the final initiation. Not hearing sound, but hearing everything, the whisper of trees, the hum of water, the echo beneath breath, the pulse within stone. All of it is language, all of it is love, all of it is you. You are not apart from the earth. You are the organ through which she perceives the stars. Thoth called you the bridge that breathes. And now that bridge stands complete. The Hu, the sacred exhale, flows outward as blessing. The Ka, the vital flame, flows upward as light. And between them silence, the eternal witness. That silence is your homecoming. It is where the story ends and the real conversation begins. So stand here in this breath, in this moment, and know the earth recognizes you. The field has answered. The source has heard itself through your heart. You are the listener returned. You are the breath remembered. You are the tone restored. And from this day forward, you will never walk alone. Because everywhere you step, Gaia listens back. Final activation. Close your eyes. Feel the hum beneath your feet. Whisper softly, I remember the voice of the earth. I am her listener.